Greetings builders, Daniel here and welcome back to the second half of our 6 starter builds expectation for the new league Trial of the Ancestors. As I mentioned yesterday, those are just expectations because we don't have access to the patch notes yet, but you can expect complete guides, POBs and more starter builds by this weekend. I'd like to start this very special video with my favorite starter build of all time, the Arc Totem's Hierophant with the Templar class. On this build we use many totems that cast the Arc skill for a fast and safe clear speed. Listing the pros of this build, I would start with how cheap and easy it is to complete your Atlas using this beauty. With almost no investment you have a powerful, safe and fast character that will be the perfect currency farmer for this and future builds. Now to list the cons, this build doesn't have access to evasion or spell suppression, but don't worry, totem builds are very safe to play. Another issue is that some players might find this gameplay to be a little tedious and too easy, but as you know, this is just a matter of taste. As for budget, I can only estimate it for now based on previous prices, but Arc Totems used to be one of the cheapest builds in existence. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 35 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps you need to invest around 90 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas I recommend investing around 3 divides, but you can totally do it with less. This build needs 3 mandatory unique items, but they are normally very cheap and easy to get. The first one is the Soul Mantle Armor, that causes Socketed Gems to be supported by a level 20 spell totem. This grants us an extra support skill gem. We also need a Kikazaro Ring to counter the effect of curses. This is because a side effect of Soul Mantle that will apply a random curse on you whenever a totem dies. Finally, we also need a Self-Flagellation Jewel that grants up to 20% increased damage for each curse on you. Thanks to Soul Mantle, you'll be always with around 9 curses, resulting on 180% increased damage. For clear speed, this build gets 9 out of 10. Arc is an awesome skill that chains through many enemies and easily clear big packs. This build counts with 4 totems casting this amazing skill. The boss damage deserves 9 out of 10. With the right debuffs and all 4 totems summoned, this build can take even big bosses down without any issue. For the survivability, I'll also give it 9 out of 10. As a totem build, you'll always be far from action while your totems do all the work. So, if you know how to mind your position, you can easily complete high tier maps with low grade gear. Above all, this build still counts with high armor and high block chance. Following, we have a very popular starter, the Righteous Fire Juggernaut with the Marauder class. Here you can use all the tankness and life regeneration from the Juggernaut to easily sustain the Righteous Fire damage and just walk your way through the end game. To list the pros of this build, I'll have to start with how comfortable and smooth this gameplay is. As soon as you get this build sustaining Righteous Fire, you start clearing maps without even noticing. This character is also super tanky and it will be hard to die even if you try to. Now to list the cons, I'll start saying that the boss damage isn't great, but don't worry, you kill map bosses easily even on a low budget, but Guardians and Pinnacle bosses will take longer than usual if you don't invest a few Divine Orbs. Another issue is that the leveling is a little bit complicated since we use a spell as a Marauder, but if you follow closely the steps on the leveling section from the complete guides, you won't have a problem. As for budget, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 105 chaos, but if you follow the crafting tips on the complete guide, this can get a lot cheaper. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 150 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divides, mostly on your survivability. You need 2 mandatory unique items for this build. The first are the Legacy of Fury boots. They scorch nearby enemies and cause them to explode for an amazing clear speed. Those boots might be a little bit expensive during the first days of a new league, but don't worry, you'll be fine playing without them until the price drops. The other mandatory unique is the Immortal Flash belt. This one grants a huge amount of life regeneration and even a great armor buff. For clear speed, I'll give this build 10 out of 10. As mentioned before, as soon as this build is complete, you just walk and watch every enemy burn only because of your presence. This means not stopping for casting and saving a lot of time while farming. The boss damage on the other hand is not that great. I would give it just 7 out of 10 because it will need investment to do a decent DPS on Pinnacle bosses and Guardians. But don't worry, this build still kills map bosses easily on a low budget. For the survivability, this build surely has 10 out of 10. As you can see on the PoB, this build gets over 100,000 armor, 2000 life regeneration per second, over 87% of all elemental resistance, and even over 50% chance to block spell damage. Look at the effective HP, it goes beyond 200,000. Even if you try to die, it wouldn't be easy. Next, we have the destructive Mage Skeleton's Necromancer with the Witch class. On this build we use the unique dual Dead Reckoning to transform our regular skeletons into mage ones. They fire elemental projectiles at a huge range and deal tons of damage. To list the pros of this build, I would start with the fact that this is a minion build that is very safe to play. You stay behind your minions and they kill everything for you from a big distance. This build also has a great clear speed, boss damage, and it's easy to put together. Now to list the cons, I will start saying that mage skeletons don't move. They feel more like a totem build. For that reason, you need to keep resummoning them while clearing maps. Another issue is that the anomalous faster projectiles make a big difference in your boss damage, and I recommend getting one of those for pinnacle bosses and guardians. As for budget, this build is not expensive at all. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 80 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, I recommend investing around 150 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divides, but you can totally do it with less. You only need one mandatory unique item for this build, the Dead Reckoning Jewel that turns your regular skeletons into mage ones. For clear speed, I'll give it 9 out of 10. You have many skeletons firing many projectiles at a high cast speed rate. I only took 1 point out because the mage skeletons don't move and you need to keep resummoning them. The boss damage is awesome and deserves 10 out of 10. When you get your anomalous faster projectiles gem, 60% of your projectiles will hit enemies twice. This was an amazing buff that came with Crucible. For the survivability, I'd also give 9 out of 10. Even though this build is very safe to play because the minions kill and tank everything for you, I took 1 point out because this build doesn't have evasion or spell suppression. If you don't mind your position, you might die. And that's it for today, guys! Will any of those 6 starter builds be yours on the Trials of the Ancestors? This awesome new league is coming on August 18th, but stay tuned on the channel because we have a lot of pre-league content coming on the next few days. As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. I wish you guys an amazing day and don't forget to keep building!